Some airports in the US are so tough to land at that even the best pilots feel nervous. Today we're counting down the top 7 most dangerous airports in America, from number 7 to number 1. These airports are not just tricky, they test every part of a pilot's skill, from approach angle to controlling speed and dealing with sudden weather changes. Passengers are safe, but the landings here are far from ordinary. Before we start, make sure to subscribe to Flight Decoder for more travel tips and aviation insights. Also check out my TSA-approved travel essentials in the description below to make your next flight smoother and easier. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly what makes each airport so challenging and why pilots consider them some of the toughest places to land in the US. Let's start from number 7. Number 7 is San Diego International Airport, right in the middle of the city. Unlike many airports that have open space, SAN is surrounded by buildings, roads, and neighborhoods. This makes the approach more difficult because pilots have very little room for mistakes. The airport has only one main runway for most commercial flights, and the landing path requires a steep descent over the city. Pilots must carefully manage speed and altitude to stay on the correct glide path. Too fast or too high, and the landing becomes harder. Weather also plays a big role. Being a coastal airport, San Diego experiences strong crosswinds and sudden gusts. These can push the plane sideways, so pilots constantly adjust the controls just before landing. Because of these factors, even experienced pilots consider SAN a challenging airport. Despite the difficulties, the airport handles a large number of flights daily, so pilots must be precise and focused every single time. Small errors are not allowed, making it one of the most technically demanding urban airports in the US. San Diego tests a pilot's precision with its steep approach and coastal winds. But if you think that's tricky, wait until we see number 6, Chicago Midway Airport, where short runways and tall city buildings make every landing a real challenge. Coming in at number 6 is Chicago Midway International Airport, located in the middle of Chicago. What makes this airport challenging is its short runway. At just 6,522 feet, it is one of the shortest runways used by commercial jets in the United States. Pilots landing here must calculate their speed, approach angle, and descent rate perfectly. Any small mistake can make the landing difficult or force a go-round. Midway is surrounded by the city itself. High-rise buildings, busy roads, and densely populated neighborhoods leave very little space for maneuvering. Unlike airports in open areas, pilots cannot make wide turns or corrections during final approach. Every second counts, and even small adjustments must be precise. This is especially tricky for larger planes like the Boeing 737 or Airbus A320, which are commonly used at Midway. Traffic is another factor. Midway is one of the busiest airports in the US, with hundreds of daily flights. Air traffic control keeps everything organized, but pilots still face pressure to land on time and maintain exact spacing between other planes. During bad weather, the combination of short runway, tall buildings, and crosswinds can make landings even more demanding. Overall, Midway requires a very high level of skill and concentration. Pilots must constantly monitor speed, altitude, and direction, making it one of the most technically challenging urban airports in the country. Despite these challenges, thousands of flights land safely here every year, thanks to pilot training, strict procedures, and careful planning. At number 5, we have John Wayne Airport in Santa Ana, California. This airport is small compared to major international airports, but that is exactly what makes it challenging for pilots. Its main runway is only 5,701 feet long, which is short for commercial jets. Pilots must carefully calculate their speed, angle of descent, and touchdown point to ensure a safe landing. One of the unique challenges at John Wayne is the strict noise abatement procedures. The airport is located very close to residential neighborhoods, so pilots are required to follow specific flight paths with steep climbs after takeoff and steep descents before landing.
This reduces noise for local residents, but it demands extra precision and control from pilots. Speed, angle, and timing all need to be exact. The airport's surroundings add another layer of difficulty. With homes, roads, and buildings close to the runway, pilots have very little room for deviation. There is no margin for error in case of unexpected turbulence or sudden weather changes. Pilots must focus fully during the approach and maintain precise alignment with the runway at all times. Despite its size and challenges, John Wayne Airport handles thousands of commercial flights each year. It may not have the large runways of bigger airports, but it tests pilot skill in unique ways. Steep approaches, short runway, urban surroundings, and noise restrictions all combine to make it one of the most technically demanding airports in California for commercial aviation.
At number 4, we have Ronald Reagan Washington National Airport, located right next to the U.S. Capitol. What makes this airport particularly challenging is its location. Being very close to the Pentagon, the White House, and other sensitive government buildings, it sits in a highly restricted airspace. Pilots must follow strict security procedures and designated flight paths at all times, which leaves very little flexibility during approach or departure. DCA operates primarily with a single runway for commercial flights. Unlike airports with multiple runways that allow for alternative approaches, pilots here have only one path to land and take off. This makes precision essential because there is no second option if the approach is off. Even small deviations can require a go-around, which adds pressure, especially during busy periods. Traffic is another factor. Washington, D.C. is a major hub for business and government travel, and the airport handles heavy daily traffic. Pilots must coordinate closely with air traffic control to maintain exact spacing and timing, following strict approach and departure procedures. Weather conditions like fog, wind, or storms can further complicate these already precise maneuvers. The combination of restricted airspace, a single runway, heavy traffic, and strict approach rules makes DCA one of the most technically demanding airports in the U.S. Even routine landings require careful planning, high concentration, and precise control. Pilots flying into DCA must be fully trained and alert, as there is very little room for error. Despite these challenges, thousands of flights operate safely every year thanks to strict procedures, skilled pilots, and constant coordination with air traffic control. Coming in at number 3 is Eagle County Regional Airport in Colorado. This airport is known for being technically challenging due to its high elevation and mountainous surroundings. Located at 6,547 feet above sea level, the thin air affects engine performance and lift, which means pilots need to adjust their approach and speed carefully during both takeoff and landing. The airport is surrounded by mountains on all sides. There are no flat plains or open areas nearby, so pilots have to navigate carefully to avoid terrain. This makes the approach much more complex than typical airports. Any small miscalculation in altitude, speed, or angle can result in a dangerous situation, especially for larger commercial aircraft. Weather adds another layer of difficulty. During the winter months, Eagle County often experiences snowstorms, icy runways, and sudden gusty winds. Visibility can drop quickly, and turbulence from nearby peaks can make handling the aircraft more demanding. Pilots must be ready to adjust continuously during final approach and landing. Because of the combination of elevation, mountains, and weather, Eagle County is considered one of the most challenging regional airports in the United States. Pilots operating here must have excellent knowledge of the airport's terrain, be highly skilled in high-altitude flying, and carefully manage speed and descent. Even though it is smaller than major international airports, the technical demands are significant. Despite these challenges, thousands of passengers land safely at Eagle County each year. Careful pilot preparation, strict procedures, and constant monitoring ensure flights remain safe. But the airport is a true test of skill for anyone flying in or out.
At number 2, we have Telluride Regional Airport in Colorado, which is the highest commercial airport in the United States, sitting at 9,070 feet above sea level. This high elevation makes flying more challenging because the thin air affects both engine performance and lift. Pilots need to carefully calculate their approach and speed to ensure a safe landing. The runway itself is very short for commercial operations, and it has a cliff at one end and a river drop at the other. This means there is almost no room for error during landing or takeoff. Pilots must touch down at exactly the right spot and maintain precise speed and control to safely complete the landing. Surrounding terrain adds another level of difficulty. The airport is located in a mountain valley with peaks rising on all sides. There is no room to deviate from the flight path, and any miscalculation can be extremely dangerous. Pilots must navigate carefully through this tight space, making adjustments continuously during the approach. Weather conditions make Telluride even more challenging. Winter brings frequent snowstorms, icy conditions, and low visibility. Sudden gusts of wind can push aircraft off course, so pilots must constantly monitor instruments and adjust controls. Only highly experienced pilots are allowed to operate here due to these hazards. Despite these challenges, Telluride Regional Airport serves thousands of passengers every year safely. However, it remains one of the most technically demanding airports in the country. Steep terrain, high elevation, short runway, and frequent snow make it a true test of pilot skill, precision, and focus.
Finally, at number 1, we have Aspen/Pitkin County Airport, located deep in the Rocky Mountains of Colorado. This airport is considered the most technically challenging commercial airport in the United States, and for good reason. Sitting at a high elevation, pilots face thin air, which reduces engine performance and lift. Every landing and takeoff here requires careful planning and precise execution. The runway is short and it is surrounded by steep mountainous terrain on all sides. There is no room for error. Pilots must line up perfectly on approach and calculate speed and altitude carefully. A miscalculation can force a go-around, which is especially risky in such a confined mountainous area. During takeoff, pilots must achieve the correct climb rate to safely clear surrounding peaks. Weather conditions make Aspen even more demanding. Sudden storms, strong mountain winds, and snow can appear quickly, reducing visibility and creating turbulence. Pilots need to constantly monitor instruments and adjust controls to maintain a safe approach. Unlike many airports with long runways and open space, ASE gives pilots very little margin for error, which is why only highly experienced pilots are assigned to land here. Surrounding terrain also adds complexity. The airport sits in a valley, meaning the approach path requires maneuvering around mountains and lining up precisely with the runway. Even small deviations in angle or altitude can make landing difficult, so pilots must remain fully focused from the moment they begin descent until the wheels touch the runway. Despite all these challenges, thousands of passengers land safely at Aspen every year. It is a true test of skill, precision, and judgment, and it stands as the ultimate example of how geography, weather, and runway limitations can create one of the most technically demanding airports in the U.S.